Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Tyler, and today we're going to be starting a brand new what if, and this what if is what if Sakura left with Sasuke. So instead of Sasuke just knocking out Sakura and leaving off with the Sound Ninja and the whole Sasuke retrieval arc starting, what if Sakura actually went with Sasuke and Sasuke allowed her to come along? Now we do have a lot to cover, so with that being said, let's just get this intro short and just get straight into the video.
Hey, collecting rings like a Sonic. Bitches wanna party. My wrist getting heavy. Got 'em on a diet, yeah. Flex like I'm Hogan. Yo, bitch coming over.
We start our story off during the same night that Sasuke left and knocked out Sakura, but this time, when Sakura says how she'll go with him, she ensures him that she just wants to do it to be with him and she won't get in his way. Sasuke in this timeline decides to give her a chance, but if she messes up, Sasuke will just get rid of her and kill her in an instant, and Sasuke and Sakura both leave the leaf, and the Sound Fort would question Sasuke and his choice of bringing a person from the leaf here. Sasuke just says not to question him, and if they try anything, he'll make sure the leaf is aware immediately that they are here, which scares the Sound Ninja because they don't want the smoke with Akage and multiple Jonin, especially Akage, so they would just reluctantly bring her, and I think Sakura would just be placed under a genjutsu. Because we do know that one of the members, that being Tayuya, would have genjutsu, so we could just say she has basic genjutsu to knock out Sakura, and they would then proceed to carry her, specifically Tayuya, and the Sasuke retrieval arc would proceed to go on, and nothing really changes. The only difference here is that they're trying to attempt to bring back Sasuke and Sakura, and this time I think Sakura would be eventually taken by Kimimaro because Tayuya would have to battle. And Tayuya would just tell Kimimaro how this girl was brought by Sasuke and apparently she means a lot to him. Well, at least that's the message she got. Now, Kimimaro is a loyal servant to Orochimaru, and he knows how big of a deal Sasuke means to him, and I guess this girl means a lot to Sasuke, so Kimimaro does respect Sasuke and decides to bring Sakura along with Sasuke and make sure Sakura doesn't get hurt. Now, this leads into Sasuke being freed and having the curse mark level 2 and running away, while Naruto would be fighting Kimimaro, and Sakura would snap out the genjutsu, and Sakura would just chase after Sasuke. Now, Rock Lee would still proceed to intercept like in canon, and he and Gaara would actually take down Kimimaro, and this leads into Naruto encountering Sasuke in the final valley, and he would then question to Sasuke where's Sakura, and Sasuke would just say not to worry about it. Essentially, what Sakura is doing right now is kind of hiding and watching the battle from afar, and this leads into Naruto versus Sasuke, which happens as per normal, and this time when Naruto gets hit by the Chidori, he still has a little bit of chakra left to be conscious, and he would see Sakura and Sasuke walking off. Naruto would then proceed to knock out into an unconscious state because he barely had enough chakra to be conscious, and then he would eventually just fall, and this would lead into Kakashi and the others finding Naruto and picking him up, and this is then when Naruto would wake up again, and he would explain about what had happened between he and Sasuke and how Sakura actually left off with Sasuke. Kakashi would try and comfort Naruto, saying it's going to be alright and they will try and find them soon, but Naruto needs to heal up and rest first, and this would lead into Kakashi then thinking to himself how he understood how much Sakura liked Sasuke, but he never thought it would go this far to the point to where she would leave the Leaf Village for him. It's crazy to think about, and Kakashi would kind of get some deja vu and would wonder if maybe this is kind of his fault. Maybe he didn't teach Sakura and Sasuke well enough, maybe he wasn't good enough. He starts feeling guilt that, well, he's had in the past. These past feelings of guilt start coming back to haunt Kakashi. At first it came when his father died, and then it came when Rin died and he broke Obito's promise, and now he wasn't good enough to try and, well, stop his students from leaving. Maybe if he didn't have an important mission, maybe he would have brought them back to the light, and someone like Sasuke, who is essentially Kakashi's main student, you know, it kind of breaks his heart. Kakashi's just hiding all these emotions within himself, and it even gets even more significant because of Sakura leaving, and it's another student that he cared about now leaving him. Now, this would lead into Kakashi bringing Naruto to the hospital, and Naruto eventually waking up in the hospital, and Jiraiya and Kakashi would be in Naruto's hospital room, and Naruto would say how he wants to go back out and try and stop Sasuke and Sakura from going to Orochimaru again, but Jiraiya would try and stop that and say how Sasuke is safe for another 2.5 years, since he would have a spare body before he tries an attempt to go after Sasuke. And this would lead into Naruto and Jiraiya departing from the Leaf and going to train for 2.5 years, but this time Kakashi would actually join alongside these two. Kakashi wants to try and get rid of this guilt and try and bring Sasuke and Sakura back, and he knows the most determined person to do this is Naruto, and Kakashi wants to be on Naruto's journey and help him out the best way he can possible. So he's going to try and train Naruto to the fullest alongside Jiraiya, and this will lead into Naruto becoming a lot stronger than his canon Shippuden self. Well, at least early Shippuden, because I think Kakashi would try and teach Naruto and help him discover his nature affinity, which would be wind, and Naruto would even come up with a wind-style jutsu, not being the Rasen Shuriken this time, but a wind-style Rasengan. Now, with this, Naruto would be stronger because, you know, it's a stronger jutsu. However, he wouldn't have the Rasen Shuriken just yet because he only kind of went after that jutsu when finding out Sasuke's Kirin. And if you don't want to say that, it's after the Sasuke fight, he really came up with the idea of using the Rasen Shuriken. So I'm going to say here that Naruto doesn't discover the Rasen Shuriken just yet, but just the wind-style Rasengan, and he would still learn all the previous things he learned during the 2.5-year gap. As Naruto is training, we have Sasuke and Sakura arriving at Orochimaru's hideout, and Orochimaru at first wouldn't really care for Sakura, but Sasuke would assure to Orochimaru that she is here to stay with him and be loyal to him, and so she can actually work for Orochimaru, which Orochimaru wouldn't mind because, you know, it's another slave. And he already lost 5 of his henchmen, one of them being the strongest he's ever had, and the other 4 being very strong allies to Orochimaru. So you know what, it wouldn't be bad restocking up some new shinobi. Now, because of Sakura's chakra control, I can see Sakura learning some deadly genjutsu from Orochimaru that basically terrifies their opponent and makes them shiver in fear, while also learning ways to actually attack with her new chakra control. And I'm not talking about basic strong punches this time. As the thumbnail kind of already gave it away, she would learn some sword style or kenjutsu, whatever how you call it, and this would lead into Sakura actually learning to implement chakra into her sword blades to increase the cutting power, kind of like what the samurai and Mifune do. She would be a lot more powerful than her canon self here because she is not only more skilled, she's also having much better genjutsu. And this actually explores that idea because it was only briefly hinted at, but it never really went anywhere. But this time she would actually learn it. This in return would make Sasuke stronger as well because he's not only fighting a swordsman, but also fighting with someone constantly every single day and training every single day, and both of them are getting stronger and stronger. So not only Sasuke would be stronger than his canon self, but also Sakura here. Now this would lead into the Kazekage rescue mission with Naruto returning to the leaf and doing the bell test by himself, which we will say he manages to actually overcome Kakashi and take the bells. And when they go out to go and rescue the Kazekage, they wouldn't have Sakura on their side, so Kankuro would die here, and when they recruit Chiyo on their team, they would encounter Itachi, still fight him, and Naruto this time would use a wind-style Rasengan to break the barrier of the Akatsuki hideout, revealing Sasori, Deidara, and Gaara. Now here, Naruto and Kakashi would still go after Deidara holding Gaara's body, while Chiyo would decide to go and fight Sasori. And without Sakura here to try and help Chiyo and even counter Sasori's poison, I think Chiyo here would definitely die, and Sasori would actually live on and not get wasted. As for the Deidara encounter, well, things are pretty much the same as per normal, with Kakashi using Kamui to survive, and at that point we would then get Gaara not coming back to life because Chiyo would be killed, which means Chiyo can't give her life to save Gaara. So Gaara would be dead and they would need a new Kazekage, and them being the Sand Village. Now this is where I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Who do you guys think would be the next Kazekage? Personally, I would think that Temari would step up to the plate and become the 6th Kazekage, but it's really up to you guys and who's the most popular suggested. And if you guys suggest Temari and she's the most popular, well, she will become the Kazekage. But let me know some suggestions. Now for this timeline, we can't really say that Sasuke would be found by Naruto because, again, there's no Sasori giving away the information. However, I do believe we can actually incorporate the Sasuke rescue mission by essentially just having Jiraiya search around and actually discover a hideout from Orochimaru, and this would then lead into them heading to the hideout, so there wouldn't be a bridge encounter with Orochimaru and Kabuto and Naruto. And I think Jiraiya would be accompanying Naruto, Sai, and Yamato because he would be the one knowing of the hideout's location, so he would lead the way, and he would promise to stall against Orochimaru while they handle with Sasuke and Sakura. So this leads into Naruto, Sai, Yamato, and Jiraiya invading Orochimaru's hideout, and this would then lead into Sasuke then being awoken along with Sakura being in the mix, and we then see Orochimaru, Kabuto, Sakura, and Sasuke staring down at Naruto, Sai, Yamato, and Jiraiya. At that point, Jiraiya would then prepare for battle, immediately gunning for Orochimaru, but Sakura would intercept Jiraiya and proceed to try and attempt to stab him. However, Jiraiya would then evade her attack, and this leads into Naruto screaming at Sakura, why would she even try and damage Jiraiya-sensei? Just come back to her senses. Sasuke would then reply to Naruto with a no, and that he has a mission, and Sakura would then say that she's willing to do anything to help Sasuke on his mission. She's willing to go this far, and she's already went far enough, so there's no turning back. At that point, Naruto would then say how he understands, and he would then let out some of the Kyuubi's chakra, awakening a one-tailed cloak. This Naruto would then punch Sasuke so far that he would be knocked back into the hideout. At that point, Sasuke would then release his curse mark stage 1, and he and Naruto would begin to battle. This soon leads into Sasuke even awakening his curse mark 2, while Naruto is gaining more tails as the fight goes on. And at this point, he would be at his 3-tailed state, and Sasuke would try and attempt to suppress the 9 tails, but Naruto would outspeed him in time and actually hit him with a wind-style Rasengan. Now, Sakura here wants to intervene and actually get rid of Naruto for Sasuke. However, Jiraiya would be in the mix, and he would be stopping Sakura along with a weakened Orochimaru, and Kabuto would be dealing with the likes of Yamato, and Sai would be going over to try and stop Sasuke because he sees him as a threat. Now, Sasuke would be in his curse mark 2 state, so if Sai tries to intervene, I think a one attack from Sasuke would just instantly neg Sai, considering the fact that base Sasuke was already above this version of Sai. And so Naruto would make sure that Sai didn't get in his way, and Naruto would then eventually unleash his 4-tailed state. Now, keep in mind, 4-tailed Naruto is actually a character that Orochimaru scales to because he was able to clothesline him with a punch and actually damage him and take attacks from him and regenerate from attacks from him. And this would lead into Orochimaru actually scaling above Jiraiya because Jiraiya got negged by a 4-tailed Naruto, and Orochimaru would be fighting Jiraiya pretty easily, and this allowed Sakura to get over there and help Sasuke. She would then emit chakra in her blades and try and slice 4-tailed Naruto with a barrage of sword strikes, and at that point, 4-tailed Naruto would just eat all the attacks and even break one of Sakura's swords. Naruto would then smack Sakura down and knock her into an unconscious state because 4-tailed Naruto is just massively above Sakura, and this leads into Sasuke then thinking that he should probably use the Kirin to actually knock out 4-tailed Naruto permanently along with his allies. This leads into Sasuke then getting ready to use the Kirin, but Orochimaru, after punching Jiraiya away, would stop Sasuke and would then tell everyone to back away, and Sasuke would then quickly grab Sakura and then quickly go away. But 4-tailed Naruto would try and chase after Sasuke, but luckily Yamato catching 4-tailed Naruto with his wood, and he would proceed to then use the same jutsu that he used on Naruto on the bridge, and this leads into Naruto then reverting into his base form. At that point, Team Orochimaru would then head out, and this leads into Naruto, Yamato, Sai, and Jiraiya going back to the Leaf and making the mission a failure. And yes, Sai's whole character arc would still happen, and he would actually redeem himself because he went to go and try and fight Sasuke and nearly kill himself. And this leads into Sai then becoming an ally of the Leaf, and not really being just Danzo's goon, but actually being a member of Naruto's team. And Naruto would actually get ready to make a new jutsu called the Rasen Shuriken, and like in canon, he would learn the Rasen Shuriken, but he would already have a basic idea of wind style and the Rasengan, and so he eventually comes up with just forming it with 3 clones, making the Rasen Shuriken. So I feel like he would learn this in literally less than a week, because keep in mind, he already learned about his wind affinity and already came up with the jutsu with the Rasengan and the wind style. So really, Naruto could just do that with 3 shadow clones. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't take more than a week for him to just do that. And I feel like Naruto will learn the Rasen Shuriken in a significantly less amount of time. Now, correct me if I'm wrong if it is a week or whatever. If it's not, well, I'll just list the time period in the actual story so it actually makes more sense. I'll say that Naruto learns the Rasen Shuriken right before he gets the news of Asuma's death. This would then lead into Kakashi in the middle of the night going out with Team Shikamaru to go and try and stop Kakuzu and Hidan, and this leads into Naruto waking up and not knowing of this, so he, Yamato, and Sai would then head out. Now, Naruto, Yamato, and Sai would arrive at the battlefield, and they would arrive at the time of Kakashi clotheslining Kakuzu and catching him off guard with a lightning blade to his heart, so literally at the start of the battle. I think Shikamaru would realize that Kakuzu is definitely the stronger force, and Shikamaru has some personal blood he wants to batch with Hidan, and so this leads into Shikamaru leaving the fight early and telling everyone else to handle Kakuzu. So we still get that moment of Shikamaru big braining on Hidan, and this leads into Kakuzu being killed early thanks to Naruto already having the Rasen Shuriken, and no one is really forced to go any extreme measures, which means Kakashi won't be in the hospital. And so the Kakuzu arc is just wrapped up a lot earlier. Now, we would then skip over to where Sasuke and Sakura are, and they would still fight Orochimaru because Orochimaru would try and attempt to steal Sasuke's body, but Sakura would help Sasuke kill Orochimaru. And this would lead into Team Heavy being formed, with Sakura being on Team Heavy, and Sasuke would still deal with Deidara, but with Sasori going away when Deidara cast the C0, and him being at the start of the fight because there's no Tobi. Now, personally, I would like for Tobi to still be in the story. Maybe he can be introduced in the Team Kurenai and Team Naruto going out to try and find Sasuke and Sakura. Just have him be lurking in the shadows and being hinted at. And this would then lead into Sasuke still fighting Deidara, and Deidara would warn Sasori before he uses C0, so Sasori would make it out alive. Now, Sasuke would still BS his way through Deidara and reverse summon Manda and sacrificing Manda, and this leads into Team Heavy just following Sasuke, and Sasuke would eventually fight Itachi. We still get Tobi interfering with Sasuke and revealing the truth of the Leaf Village, and Sasuke would then have a new motive to destroy the Leaf, and Sakura would be following right beside him. And this would then lead into them going out to try and capture the 8 tails, that being Killer Bee. Now, as for the pain arc, I don't really think Sakura changed anything. She literally just was on her knees and begging for Naruto to come by. So I think it's really relatively the same, just without Sakura, and Naruto would still be declared the hero, and he would talk no jutsu and revive everyone that was killed in the pain assault. And that is where I'm going to be leaving things for part 1, and if you guys do want a part 2, just smash that like button. Let's get this video to 1,000 likes, and part 2 will be in the near future. With that being said, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell if you are new, so you can get, notified when I post content, because that kind of helps me out, so I would appreciate that. Be sure to like the video if you guys enjoyed, and again, 1,000 likes for part 2. Thanks for watching, comment, share with your friends, follow me on Twitter, links in the description, blah blah blah. Peace out, guys. Bye.